Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of All the Mods 6. How are you guys doing today? How's life? Last episode we did manage to start making fissile fuel, and today we want to go nuclear. I tried to make it sound dramatic, but it's actually not that much. We are just going to make a very small reactor. We are going to cool this one using water, so it cannot be gigantic. It's going to be 7 by 11. Because it is recommended that when you're cooling your reactor with water, you should not have more than 75 fission fuel assemblies. I don't know if it really matters how we're going to place them. I'm going to place them in a checkerboard pattern. Cause you know, it looks nice. I had 75 on me, we're left with 6. So that is 69. And just to irritate you, so that it's not 69, I'm going to add 6 more so that it's 75. We just need to cap them with the control rods. So you guys know this already. The corner blocks have to be reactor casing, the walls can be reactor glass, the bottom has to be casing, as well as the top. And if our lantern has not screwed things up, this should be a functioning reactor? Yes. It's not a functioning reactor, but the multi-block structure has been formed. In order to make it functioning, we need to add a few stuff. We need to cool down the reactor, so we're going to need to provide it with a lot of water. I do have a sink, and we're going to have 4 fission reactor ports. Cause this stupid thing eats through water. Also, the reactor can be controlled by redstone, so I'm going to add a few fission reactor logic adapters, like so. And you might notice that it's filling up with water. But the last time that we played with mechanism and the reactor, we noticed that there's no such thing as enough water. So the more, the better. But I think for the moment this should be good enough. If we need more, I will add more. One of the ports that you see over here is going to be for input only, which is green. I'm going to use one of the ports in order to extract steam, which is blue. And I'm going to use the one in the back in order to extract waste. Now that we have a reactor, let us talk about it and see what it does. This reactor on its own is not going to generate any RF. What it does is that it's going to burn the fissile fuel, it's going to heat up the water, and it's going to provide you with steam. You can use the steam in a turbine in order to generate RF, but you will also get nuclear waste. And for the moment, we are actually interested in the nuclear waste because we can use it in order to make plutonium or polonium. However, when we are running this reactor, there are some information that are very important to us. If the water runs out, there's going to be an explosion. There should always be fuel in the reactor, and the nuclear waste tank should never get full. And also the heat itself is kind of important. How are we going to do all of that? Well, we do have gauges and switches, so we're going to use them. We cannot read a comparator signal from the reactor itself in order to determine how much fuel it has, but we can read a comparator signal out of a chemical tank from mechanism to see if it has fuel. And that is exactly what we're going to do. Obviously, the same goes with nuclear waste, and we should be able to read a comparator signal out of that. For very high temperature, we cannot use a gauge, but we can use an alarm. So we're going to configure this logic adapter for high temperature, and the other one for critical damage, just in case. Finally, we have one more logic adapter which we're going to use it in order to turn on and off the reactor. And all of the items that I just mentioned are going to get a redstone transmitter from RF Tools. So let me set up a control panel and I'll be right back. All of that mumbo jumbo which I just explained to you translated to this. We have 2 gauges, one for the fuel and one for the waste. They are going to show us how much fuel we have in the buffer, which currently it's empty, or how much waste is in the waste barrel, which is also an external buffer. Then we have 4 alarms. One of them is for high temperature, just in case. One of them is also for critical damage. We're never going to reach there, but you know, it had to be symmetrical, so 2 on each side. But you might notice that we also have critical fuel and critical waste. Critical fuel means that there is no more fuel in the internal buffer of the reactor, and critical waste means that this internal buffer is getting full, which both of them are incredibly dangerous, so we do have an alarm. And the tanks that you see over here are for the fuel. So if I add this one over here, you might notice that our fuel level should go higher. Oh, it's not going higher because I forgot the redstone. Yes, I completely forgot to hook up the gauges. It is not that bad, we just have to link U to U. And you might notice that we have fuel. And we can just do the same for the waste, which obviously since the reactor is not running, we don't have any waste. We have 75 fuel assemblies, so the reactor can burn the fuel at a rate of 75 millibuckets per tick. But obviously we're not going to start with that, we're gonna start with 1. Just in case something goes wrong. Here goes nothing. Are we good? We are going to be good if we have the GPS data card. Let us do this one more time. We're good. We are getting nuclear waste, we're getting steam which I'm voiding, and we can continue with the setup in order to make polonium. We have access to nuclear waste. How do we process it? Well, first off, this barrel that you see over here, which has a little bit of nuclear waste in it, cannot be broken, because otherwise there's going to be radiation everywhere. And since I don't really want to make any mistakes, we're going to hook it up once we're done. So nuclear waste has 2 uses. If we use a centrifuge, we're going to get plutonium. If we use a solar neutron activator, we're going to get polonium. Let us figure out the polonium first. We're going to need solar neutron activators. They will receive the waste from the bottom, and they're going to export the polonium from the front. Now that we have the polonium, we're going to need a PRC with water so that we can convert chloride dust into polonium pellets. And this is the thing we need in order to get into QIO and the Mekasuit. So here is a PRC. We also need water, which is easy peasy. And unfortunately from this point on, it's going to be janky wiring, because the byproduct of getting polonium pellets is spent nuclear waste. And there is no way of getting rid of that. We have to store it inside waste barrels. I did not make a pattern for the tubes. Although one thing that you should remember is that whenever you're using a barrel, it is going to get rid of the waste, but at a very slow rate. I think it's 1 millibucket per minute, which essentially it means it's garbage. But if I'm not wrong, now it is safe to hook things up. Maybe? Where is my waste? Oh, we have polonium, 72 millibuckets. So I think we can just run the reactor. And we're going to increase the burn rate to 10. We should be okay. If that is the case, let us go to, I don't know, 30? Water is keeping up, fuel is keeping up, steam is not very important, and we are getting a lot of polonium. Well, I had to turn it off because it's incredibly loud, but I just wanted to show you that we can get polonium pellets. We have 4. And we also got a decent amount of radioactive material under our basement. Anyways, let me get more polonium and I'll be right back. Oh, and by the way, you might notice that the fuel level is actually getting lower. Can we also go to 45? Okay, no. Yes, water is an issue. It's okay, I can add more sinks. I did increase the burn rate of the reactor and this is how fast we are gaining polonium, which is actually not that bad. And so far we have 52 pellets. Let us see what we can craft. Obviously we are going to get the Mekasuit. Here is the helmet, chest plate, and that was a quest. Okay, the leggings and the boots. This looks amazing. But having a basic Mekasuit is garbage, so we're going to upgrade it. The workbench needed power, right? Yes, but from which side? I don't really know how to connect it to power. It doesn't seem to connect. Oh, it's there. Okay, so for the moment we just put you over here, and you should be fine. The Mekasuit that we have at this very moment can hold 6 million RF, and I personally think that is the first thing that we should upgrade. There is an energy unit which is extremely expensive because you need a basic induction cell, and it stacks to 8. So maybe we're going to have 16 for the moment, and we're going to apply it to our pants, and obviously the chest plate. There is also one more module called Charge Distribution Unit, and that will evenly distribute power between all parts of my body armor. That also goes on the chest plate. We do not need any jump boost because we can fly, but this one I like. You can sprint faster. But I'm just going to make 2 of them because we have the sash from Botania and I don't really want it to become disorienting. And yes, I can run much faster. You know what? I just noticed that there are so many endgame quests that we can finish so easily. For instance, all the Modium armor is easy peasy. There you go. We don't have that much vibranium, but we can upgrade it. Oh, you need to hold 1 vibranium ingot in your hand. Okay. There you go. Unobtainium is going to be challenging because we only have 27. Oh, you need only 24. We are left with 3. Nice. But the question is, what is the reward? That's not bad. That is also not that bad. Supremium watering can. I'm not complaining. And also if we manage to make the Supremium armor itself, we are going to get an Elytra. We have almost 150 blocks of Insanium, so we might as well do that. Oh, you have to make all the tiers. It is fine by me. Let me make a few patterns and I'll be right back. I have done so many patterns and I just reached Prudentium. I'm going to throw away the patterns after we're done crafting the armor, cause we don't need them. I have set in all the patterns, we just have to make the armor pieces and then we're done. And that was another quest. Just out of curiosity, how does it look? You do not get the horns. That is sad. One thing that I want to do at the end of this series is to have a collection of all the armors which are available. So we are going to make all of them. This is also Inferium. We have all 5. Oh, but for completing the quest we also need to make a flight augment and a tinkering table. Not that it's going to be incredibly useful, but we're going to try and get it. Here is your tinkering table, and for some very weird reason we need 3 pieces of nanosteel, but who am I to ask? So the augment, Supremium, and 4 nether stars. My particles are off, so it's working. Give me my reward. Thank you. It has infinity on it. Okay. I thought we used a fair bit of Insanium, but it seems we just used like 6 blocks, and I have 195 Supremium essence. I don't really know from what, but we're going to convert it back into Insanium. Oh, and by the way, I have to remove all of these. It was not that bad. They're gone. I wanted to talk about something. Do you know what was the most popular comment on the previous episode? Lash, instead of expanding your base, playing around with the updated tinkers, making smelteries, melting blazes inside the smeltery, just do everything in one block. I thought we knew each other. I just wanted to address this because apparently it's turning into a trend. Whatever I do or whatever I build, someone is always suggesting to me that, hey Lash, did you know that you can do it in one block? And normally that block is a pedestal. I do understand that this is a skyblock and we have to be efficient with space, but the problem is, limited space and living on one platform is really boring for me. Just to make it very short and sweet, I just wanted to tell you that I'm a fan of ideas which are fun and are not limited to one block. Unless I absolutely have to, which, yes, sometimes I have to do that. And I just noticed this place is laggy. We should turn them off. We have an insane amount of insanium, we don't need inferium anymore. Oh, the lag is gone. Nice. Anyhow, last night I had a little bit of a rage quit because of environmental tech, so I just went to YouTube and I saw a video in my newsfeed. The video was from System Collapse and he used a very neat trick in refined storage in order to automate the Runic altar from Botania. And in case you didn't know, Runic altar automation is the holy grail of Botania, cause it's a pain. Then it got me thinking, I love Botania, I like all the old magic mods. And so far this has been the situation of my favorite mod, incredibly garbage. And then I decided to challenge myself. Can we fully automate the Runic altar using Botania and vanilla redstone? Obviously the answer is yes, because millions of people have done it already, but at least this is my design. Let us say that you want a rune of earth. You press the button, you get your ingredients, they go on the Runic altar, you get a living rock, and you get your runes. Let us say I want a rune of autumn. Again, you get the ingredients on top of the Runic altar and the rune of autumn. I'm assuming you have already figured it out. We're using the corporeal network and the luminizers. And just to be 100% transparent, instead of using a hopper, I'm just using a pipe, cause I was extremely lazy to move the chests. And just for further transparency, you might notice that we're only automating 8 of the ruins. And 8 of the original ruins from Botania are actually missing. The thing is, I actually thought that the corporeal network and the luminizers are causing a lot of lag, but now I know that it was because of mystical agriculture. So this is why I actually stopped at 8. But honestly, the other 8 are the easy ones because you just need 2 mana diamonds and 2 runes. So they are easier to automate, and this one, the rune of mana, is slightly different, but that's just 2 ingredients. That's it. And the way that it works is relatively simple. When I press the button, there is a pulse mana spreader over here which is taking mana from this diluted mana pool and is activating a mana detector down there. Whenever a mana detector receives a pulse of mana, it's going to emit a redstone signal which we're using in order to activate the corporeal funnels in order to request items from the corporeal network, and also to activate the luminizer launcher so that the items will go to the luminizer and into the Runic altar. The only problem that I encountered was with the rune of water, cause this is a fishing rod, right? I have not touched it, so it does not have any NBT tags. If I hold it in my hand, you get a tag from Astral Sorcery. So basically every single fishing rod which is in the system, I had to hold it in my hand and then put it inside the system. But that also works. Oh, and by the way, I have no idea how much a diluted mana pool can hold, but this thing was full. And it's powering 8 of them. So I'm guessing 8 of them is equivalent to, I don't know, this much? 2 pixels? Let us get back to more pressing matters, which is making fissile fuel. Eventually we're going to have ore miners, so uranium itself is not going to be a huge challenge. But I'm assuming sulfur is always going to be a problem. How do we get it? Well, there is a method using a PRC which we can convert a block of coal or charcoal using oxygen and chocolate, apparently, into sulfur. That can work, but let us try something different. There is another recipe that we can convert gunpowder into sulfur using hydrogen chloride. In case you did not know, hydrogen chloride is actually used in ore quadrupling in mechanism. So just in case we need to quadruple or quintuple uranium, this is also going to be useful. But the question is, how do you get it? Well, we can get it from salt, which is not very efficient, or we can get it from a combination of chlorine and hydrogen. It's called hydrogen chloride, so yes, shocking. And how do you get chlorine? Well, you get it from brine the fluid in an electrolytic separator. The setup that we have over here in order to make lithium is not going to keep up. We need more thermal evaporation towers. That might have sounded dramatic. I'm not going to make millions of them, I'm just going to make 2 more. We have a lot of blocks. And considering that this time we need it a lot, we're going to go 18 blocks high. Now those ones look stupid. So did you form? Are you okay? Yes. It's incredibly scary to work on top of the void because if your game crashes, you're going to fall. I mean once you relog. So every time that the game freezes for like 1 second, I'm scared to death. So, are we generating anything? Yes. Okay, we do have our raw material, now we need to convert it into hydrogen chloride. And I'm assuming I can bring you higher? a bit, because I want all of them to be the same size. At first I thought we just take the brine and the fluid and bring it to our base and automate everything else over here. But this is not a very complicated recipe, and eventually there's going to be a platform over here so we can hide the machines down here. So again, hydrogen chloride. We need hydrogen, we need chlorine. This guy is going to be for chlorine, and you're going to dump the sodium, obviously, at least for the moment. And the other electrolytic separator is going to be for water. And right in the center we're going to have a chemical infuser, which is going to make us hydrogen chloride. And the reason that nothing is working is that they don't have any power. I did not think this through. It's incredibly difficult to put two pipes next to each other without them connecting. But I think we're fine. Okay, I just gave them all the upgrades and they should work at maximum efficiency. No. Oh, we need to dump oxygen. Okay, now they should work at maximum efficiency. You do not take a gas upgrade, do you? That would have been nice. Now that we have the hydrogen chloride, we can just use a quantum entangloporter and take it to our base. Actually, the rate is decent. It's generating 256 millibuckets per tick. And in order to make sulfur, we need 200 millibuckets. Ooh. But thankfully, a purification chamber takes the gas upgrades. So maybe it's going to be slightly more efficient. We will see. So for the moment, here is going to be our purification chamber, and we're going to have a quantum entangloporter to provide it with hydrogen chloride, which for some reason it's not working. Auto eject is on. It is perfectly fine by me. You don't want to eject. I'm going to take it out. You know what? The system actually works. This is the wrong machine. It's not a purification chamber, it's a chemical injection chamber. So there you go. Here is your chemical injection chamber. And yes, we're getting hydrogen chloride. Perfect. And obviously you're going to give me back all of my upgrades. And I'm hoping you also take the gas upgrade. Yes. And how fast do you work? Really bad. Then you shall be promoted to basic, advanced, elite, and ultimate. Now how do you work? Relatively better. Therefore, I think the only thing that we have to do... Oh, this is not the same sulfur? Because it does not stack with the other one. This is from mechanism, this is from thermal. Maybe I have to change the recipe. We will see. Yes, it should work, according to the JEI. And it does work. So the only thing that I have to do is to change some of the filters. That's it. And tell you to export this one. Ladies and gentlemen, we're back in production. It's just that very soon we're going to run out of gunpowder as well, and we have to start smashing down flint. Do you remember that a few minutes ago somebody told you that uranium is not going to be a huge issue? Well, at this very moment it is, because we just ran out. The issue is that I have invested a lot of time and effort in upgrading our ore miners, and now we are at tier 7. So we have 109 of the nanorite crystals. The problem is, there's also a tier 8. This is a tier 6 crystal miner, and unfortunately it's not generating crystals fast enough. And until I get to tier 8, environmental tech is not going to generate a single resource. It's just going to make crystals. But I'm not sure. Maybe next episode we just make a tier 6 ore miner and, I don't know, get a few resources. Cause honestly speaking, sieving is not paying off anymore. Anyways, those are the things that we can worry about next episode, because I think it's time to wrap up this one. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it. Till the next one, bye bye.